2020. We're going to start our meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we start this, anybody that has a cell phone on, if you would please mute them or turn them off so we're not disturbed. We have a lot of business to take care of this evening. And the first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask everyone that please can stand, turn and face the flag. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
We just want to know, when can we expect to be able to repair our buildings? What can the town council do to speed up the cleanup process so that we can repair our buildings? For those who don't know, Faith Christian Ministry is an organization of churches formed to assist people in this area. Over the 10 years, we have used our revenues, given away over $120,000 in food, rent, and utilities assistance. Our ability to continue this depends upon the ability to repair these damaged buildings and getting ourselves and our tenants back into our business.
Just before I came tonight, I got a call from Dan Cohn, who had talked to Bill Hill. According to Bill Hill, who is Director of Environmental Health, no matter who does the demolition, there will go Al Colley with SAC Enterprises pull the sample to send off for the asbestos test. But we stopped him because to remove the vacate order himself. Well, now another 2 weeks has passed. What we need is permission from John Clark. The letter to him gave him two options. One was to hire a professionally licensed and bonded demolition company to take down the remaining wall, roof, and facade of the far eastern section of his building. The company shall inspect the structure of the wall and roof design to make sure the remaining debris is taken down without causing any further dangers to your existing building and adjoining properties. Our insurance company will do that, will pay for that. SAC Enterprises will do that. That was option one.
Will they take down and remove and take it away from the property or site? Or will they
No.
just take it down?
We did not include that in quote. But it will be moved away from our building and the Bissett's building so that work can begin, so that repairs can begin.
So I think,
This quote did not include any hauling.
well, it sounds like to me we're in support of Mark helping you draft a letter to Mr. Clark or whoever you need to. And so it seems like to me that the thing to do would be for Faith Christian and the town manager and attorney to get together in a separate meeting and y'all work out what you need to have written. Because if I'm not mistaken, we're in support of the town attorney and manager helping you draft whatever letter you need.
I'm not in support of not including Mr. Clark. I think that
Well,
he
I
needs to
think
be
the letter is
included in
going to
that
be addressed to
conversation.
Mr. Clark.
But if they're going to have a meeting because it's his building, he needs to be provided.
ZTA 04 zoning text amendment regarding automotive repairs, parking, and overflow. I will need a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and second to go into public hearing. If there's no more discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Mr. Manager, I'm going to let you start this public hearing section off.
Okay. If you look at the staff report, again, this was ordinance that was originally updated and amended at the August board meeting. But due to some potential additions of an amortization clause for automotive repairs, we looked at some of the language regarding overflow and how this would affect some of the properties that are further outside of town. And parking, is defined as the following. If a parcel is large enough to accommodate parking spaces more than the calculated minimum industrial, light industrial, wherever zoning district that allows for automotive repairs, and currently if they have an excess number of vehicles on their lot, basically on the calculations of how many they could have, anything that exceeds that overflow would have to be screened from the right of way.
Thank you.
This just has to be on adjoining property. It considers it adjoining property.
It's the parcel that in question. So if you're operating your automotive repair on your large parcel, potentially on the outskirts of town, and you have a lot of vehicles, depending on the size of your building and the calculation may determine how many vehicles you can have overflow, and it would have to be behind a screen fence.
But what I'm saying is on the same property,
On the same property.
not 2 miles down the road. That's not.
Automotive repairs that was just added or amended for the overflow parking. And then also at the very end, where it says, be it further resolved, that is the time period that current automotive repair business would have to come into compliance. And the planning board had recommended and suggested 4 years.
Any discussion by the board? I'll entertain. All opposed say no. I will direct you to the left page and 1, Board of Commissioners schedule meeting.
And the only two Mondays that have been adjusted for is for the 4th of July, where Monday town is closed, and then also for Labor Day in September. So again, July 6th and September 7th, those will be moved to the next day on Tuesday, unless the board chooses another date instead. But everything else is the first Monday.
Make a motion to accept the proposed commissioner schedule.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the commissioner's schedule. If there's no more discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Next item, Mr. Manager.
Is the budget calendar for fiscal year 2020.
Next item I have on my agenda is the Chamber of Commerce update. I see Mr. Vesper's here with us this evening.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Always good to see you. Glad to see everybody is back from Thanksgiving, all happy and healthy. The last couple of months, of course, we've all been in this pandemic together. The Chamber has led efforts to support our local businesses and support our local town. I know there is light at the end of the tunnel. We would all hope and pray, and these efforts will continue. Per our organization's bylaws, we have proceeded with a board election for the next year. We're happy to welcome some new faces to our panel as well. I'll be leading 2021 as Chamber President. We surely thank Karen White for her service this year, as well as offgoing members Alan Barbie and Jan Meadles. You will see in downtown the Christmas tree display by 18 local congregations is up. There's a couple of churches that are still decorating. As far as some of the trees have actually been in town, the Chamber is welcoming all of these. I myself, as the incoming president, looks forward to working not only with the Board of Commissioners, the Downtown Development Board, members of the community, the business owners, and the building owners. I know that often differs in town a lot, but I think together we can all get together and make 2021 a very nice year for Spring Hope as we grow and prosper and recover from all that we've endured last.
Again, this was a table from last month. Again, this regards accessory structure, but also includes newly added language for accessory dwelling units, ADUs. If the board has any specific question in regards to the amended amendments, please let me know. A lot of those are built where it is within the same plane up the front of the house. So that made sense for the planning board to make that suggestion and recommendation, yes.
Yeah, I guess I'll maybe think about some newer houses, the garage is beyond the front plane, but it's attached.
Right.
So that would be okay.
And yes, so if it is attached and it's in front plane of the house, as long as it meets the setback requirement, whatever that may be, that's fine design-wise, yes.
Does this board have any recommendations for changes? Commissioner Lucas, would you like to change the 3 feet out a little further?
I would.
What distance would you like? Anybody else have any more discussion?
Now, I wouldn't want it sitting right out in front of a house on Main Street or somewhere, but if it's screened or,
And again, if it's a residential, totally different scenario situation. If it's a business district, it's treated differently within this subsection B. If it's residential, it would not ever be in front of a house. Now, if a house is being constructed, you see those types of portable storage containers where they're doing construction and they're throwing trash and debris, construction materials in it. That's understandable. And again, it's a temporary situation while they build a house.
but if it's a more permanent situation.
But not for residential, but when it comes to a business and it's a permanent situation where they, let's just say that the size of their building in downtown or in any other zoning business district, they've run out of space and they would like to bring in some storage containers to place their storage on site, then right now as it potentially is proposed, we don't regulate telling them how many they can have or how or the size of them. I mean, you can decide to dictate that and regulate that if you choose to do so.
And everywhere with LIHI, they have to be behind the building? Is that the way I read that?
Yes, yes. So in business districts, so even if it's in a central business district, right in our downtown, a building. But if you're talking about light industrial or heavy industrial zoning districts, they could be placed between the public street.
Allowable in residential area.
Which is the way it's currently written.
Right.
Commissioner Tucker, would you like to respond?
No. I think I made my response. It may not have been understood, but I don't see any need to beat a dead horse to death.
Do we have any other amendments or changes to this zoning item? Other than I do have noted request by Commissioner Lucas to move the setback to 5 feet from side and rear lot line. Is that distance good with everyone? Not inconsistent with the item noted by the board. All in favor say aye.
Pine Street and Walnut Street, or a block or stone of some sort. This is something that we need to try to first jet with our equipment to see if we can push that to the nearest manhole to remove, you know, before we propose any sort of excavating sort of resolution. This blockage, you know, quality, discoloration, and the like, of repair to wastewater treatment plant, sewer service blockage, work orders, a lift station alarm response in related to the severe weather we had earlier this month. And storm sewer on Walnut Street showed the same sort of displacement in the piping. So there, you know, seems to be kind of a cross flow within the soils from one sewer to the other. So the one that was backing out was a storm, however, was caused by a sanitary.
If you would, where they came through the other day, because it happened again. And
It did.
the guys came through with a hose.
Yeah, we have a jetter that
And like you were trying to move leaves from the curbing so that the water would flow better down to the sewer. Yeah.
Storm crack.
Storm drain, thank you.
right.
Old Franklin, and I understand that thinking, but they took their hose and they blew all the leaves from the street back into the person's yard, and there's like a pile of black wet leaves all along that curbing.
Yeah.
They need to go back and get those off.
Yeah, that would not be my recommended method.
Because if the guy that lived there before was still there, you'd have heard from it way before I got to say something, trust me.
No, I would have said something myself.
So, yeah, it looks pretty bad. They need to go back and clean that up.
Yeah, I will.
All right, second question I had for you.
Yes, sir.
Under your miscellaneous, you put up decorations.
That,
Are you finished with that now? Is that complete?
There's two lights that are missing from being put up, was what I was told late this afternoon.
You started to slum area, the town is still because of trash and paper. You're talking about putting up Christmas decoration. I think we need to clean up first. Just right. Now that's a pet peeve of mine. If it's so, I'm entitled to that.
I agree with Commissioner Lucas, because I ride like that too. And there is an absorbent amount of trash on quite a number of streets.
It's all right, you see. Then you have vacant lots. Paper, trash.
Brennan, maybe go through town before Christmas?
I will talk to them to see
You
about
have
that.
to get in the grass with this, grass.
Typically, there is a large amount of trash where,
So-
for example, some people may take a large amount of debris right to the roadside, and it may not always be contained in bags. And in that kind of situation, then yes, that debris or trash could get strewn about depending on the wind or such. And we typically will reach out to property owners, letting them know that they need to bag their garbage or contain it in time for the next pickup in those situations. But if there are certain residences that may have a large amount of litter that might be on their property, then we'll try to take note of that and reach out to them.
So if it's brought to your attention, you'll reach out.
Right.
So maybe between talking to GFI.
63 vehicle stops with 4 traffic accidents.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions for the chief this evening?
I'm on a road tonight, okay?
I was gonna ask you your role.
I'm on a road tonight.
Well, please, at first, Commissioner Lucas. I wasn't gonna let him escape. I had a question for him.
I'm coming right back up in a minute.
Oh, no, we're not letting him come back up here. We're not leaving yet.
These two young men on these skateboards,
Uh-huh,
you know, I called you one day about them because they had stopped traffic on 581.
right.
There's nothing to be done about them.
Personally spoke to them last week.
Okay.
And,
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
and what they've been told is the next time that, their boards are gonna get impounded. And they're gonna get charged. But the problem with that is one is underage. And, I mean, I'm trying to do everything I can for these guys, and, you know, I mean, they're no different than a bicycle or anything else like that going down the road. The problem is they don't have any regard for anybody else, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm trying to get them a spot of road to be able to do where they can to go. I told them, I said, you come up with a plan and present it to me, and I'll present it to the board. I will do anything for you guys, but I'm telling you, the next time that I have to deal with you in the roadway where cars are having to drive around or stop in the road, then it's going to be consequences.
And those are the only problems that you have with them. Other than that, they're pretty good kids, right?
They are. Some of them can be pretty feisty. The older guy, the older kid that skates, he's super respectful. Yes sir, no sir. Everything's been great, and normally he calms the other one down. Unfortunately, the one that acts a little out of control from time to time is the minor, or we would have already dealt with it. Excuse me?
File for a juvenile petition on him.
He is already listed as an undisciplined juvenile in foster care, which means by the time it would be approved, he's going to be of legal age anyway. But he can't skateboard if you don't have a skateboard.
Before you leave,
Okay.
the question about trash and all that,
Mm-hmm.
do we have access to people that need to do community service that could be used for this?
Well, I would prefer to kind of try to wait until we find out a little bit more with the vaccine and what's going on with COVID before we have community service workers inside the department and around people. And
I don't know, I don't want them up and down the street picking up trash, away from people.
well, they've got to be supervised, and you know.
She drives through the streets all the time, I'm here.
I mean, I'd be glad to do it. That was my preference. I would prefer not have random people.
This manager brings us up to your point in the evening.
So the EPA Brownfields grant update. Again, the town was originally awarded $300,000 for the assessment grant program. We've expended about 50% of the grant award with just under a year left. I followed up with an email on that. He did say that he would get the actual engineer who came on site for that to reach back out to me, and that was just a recent email. So I'll find out what's going on. I figured they were going to do both sets of markings the same day. I'm not sure if they're coming back or if they missed it, but when I submitted all the paperwork and pictures, I did indicate both sections. So I'll follow up with the board when I hear back from them. And then as far as the public nuisance violation report, for 101 South Poplar Street, the initial certified letter was returned back to sender. I am consulting with the law bro firm as next step purposes. Same thing with 120 South Ash Street. For that particular building, I did manage to get an inspection done with Kevin Marks with Nash County Building Inspections. And then again, following up with the Bro Law Firm before sending a draft letter to the property owners. And one that wasn't added on.
I turned around and stopped them to see who it was, but it appeared to be kids. And it was about 11:30 at night. The second thing that's come up, I was contacted a couple of weeks ago by a longtime resident here in Spring Hope who no longer is able to drive a vehicle due to medical problems. But he wanted to purchase a golf cart so that he could get to the post office, get to the grocery store, run errands here in town. But he wanted to do it legally. And he said he had not been able to get any help. So I told him I would look into it. This model ordinance comes from the Department of Transportation here in North Carolina. It's one they put together back in 2010. Now, I've also researched and I've talked with the town of Benson. They have one. They have kind of followed. What they require is that they should be licensed or have an ID if they're unable to have a driving license. Must be 16 years of age or older to operate. And they must have liability insurance on it. Because one of the issues
on their insurance, no points on their license, normal price came to be $62 a year, or $62 for 6 months. So roughly $130 a year. If we went that route, for the liability insurance, which, I mean, if you're riding down the road and you hit a parked car, then, you know, that, obviously that vehicle's insurance, unless they have uninsured motorists, is not gonna be covered. So, that is totally up to the board. I will write it however you guys want me to write it. And ladies, it doesn't matter to me either way. If you want the insurance, I can write it and put the insurance. If you don't, then you know, so be it. I do. So golf carts do not have a VIN number. Only vehicles that are knit good. Not necessarily the waiver for the liability of insurance, but the waiver of taking the responsibility of the town away if something were to happen, type of deal.
So why are we only limiting this to golf carts? Because we got lawnmowers too that people drive as cars here.
Well, the thing with the lawnmower is it falls under a whole different category. So a lawnmower is designed to carry one passenger, okay? If a lawnmower is being driven on the roadway with a lawnmower deck, it is considered to be a lawnmower.
Oh, the thing that go down?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So all your blades and stuff will be removed, which would not make it a lawnmower, it would make it a personal mobility vehicle, which is different.
the liability, because uninsured, I've been that route, my insurance goes up.
Yep, because you filed a claim.
Yep.
Some don't. I think Geico, you don't. I mean, that's neither here nor there. I know some, most
Ain't all
do.
got Geico.
Yeah, most do. But I know there are ones that don't. There are some that do. The majority of them will not even insure it for the roadway.
That's their problem.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is protect the town and protect everybody else that's.
Just curious, the person you're asking about, does he live out on Webb's Mill?
Yes.
Okay. He was one of the original ones why I started to look at it. And the reason why all of that kind of took a hold, you were to do that law, so it would be 4 or 40 pounds in a car seat, 8 or 80 pounds in a booster.
Let's understand this. When the pumpkin festival rolls around, you give the chiefs okay. They all gotta have liability insurance on this golf course. That's what you're saying.
I think if they're trailered in and you're inside the blocked off road, then I would say no.
But if they're gonna be on the streets, and they hit a parked car, they don't need liability insurance?
Or the chamber and work in the parade route.
That's the board's call. I will be glad to write it however you want me to write it.
Do what? I think we're not letting them in there, but I mean, I'm only one vote.
For the board to reconsider bumping that number up to more than 2.
Do you have a thought on how many?
I was thinking more of like 8 for starting off, just to kind of see how it goes. Since we've been more at 2, I was thinking 8 starting off and then just kind of go from there.